Alright, so this is part 2 of the 6-speed electric 3-wheeler that I'm building. Now, let's start working on the rear suspension. Now, this is the only shock that I could find that I already have that will work for this setup. All the other shocks that I have are either too big or too short, or have too much suspension travel, or have too big or small of spring. This is the only one I could find that's small enough, that has the right amount of suspension travel, and has hopefully the proper thickness of spring to be able to support the weight of the suspension without being too big and too strong. Now, to be able to get this to fit in here, we do need to cut off the original shock mounts on the frame and move them a little bit further up, as well as we need to make a spot for the bottom part of the suspension linkage to be able to mount to the frame. So that's honestly not really that much suspension travel, I'll admit, but remember what I said in the last video of this project, the battery box is probably going to have to go right here, and it's probably going to have to be 7 inches deep, which is to right there. So this not really having that much suspension travel, yeah, it still leaves plenty of room for the battery box. Yeah, I'm barely able to get the shock to budge. So yeah, this rear suspension may be a little on the stiff side, but hopefully once we get the battery installed, plus my weight on this thing, maybe it'll, yeah, I'm hoping this rear shock is gonna work. Now, I need to come up with a clever way to be able to tension this axle and have it not slide forward and loosen up the chain. Now, how a normal dirt bike does it is basically they just have a bolt that pushes up against the axle to keep it from sliding forward. I think I'm going to do the same thing, but if I do that, there would be no way to be able to tighten this bolt because I would not be able to get to this underneath here if a bolt is right there. So what I'm going to do is I need to cut off this plate right here and replace it with a plate that's going to go on top. Obviously, I put this here to keep this from bending up, and this will hopefully do the same thing while still allowing me to be able to get at this bolt to tighten it and the bolt to keep it from sliding forward. Alright, didn't really get that much work done yesterday. All I got done was I welded the frame together and welded the swing arm together, but after that I got a migraine that lasted the rest of the day, so that was not fun. Now, these are the rims we're going to be using for the rear tires for this project, and I forget what these are off of, but I think a friend of mine gave me these, and these have a really weird bolt pattern that I could not find any hubs that work with a 1-inch axle that work with this bolt pattern. So I do have these hubs that work with a 1-inch axle, but they have the wrong bolt pattern. But all I need to do is just remove these studs and just drill new holes. So I already bought studs that work with this size and everything. We just need to line up the holes and drill them and put in new studs, and then these hubs will work for these rims, and then we can put the tires on the rims and start reassembling the frame. There it goes. So something I'm just noticing is this axle is warped. Dang it. Yeah, look at that. How is this warped? It's brand new from Go Power Sports. Dang it, that sucks. Now, before we put the tires on the axle, we need to put the brake disc as well as the sprocket on the axle right here and here. Now, luckily I was able to find a brake disc that already has a 1-inch hub that fits on it. It's a little bit small, but for this project it should be fine. And then we also have to obviously figure out how to put a brake caliper on there, but we'll do that later. Now, for the sprocket, I really was trying... I didn't want to use too big of a sprocket and make it to where first and second gear on this are useless and just too slow, so I'm choosing to use a 24 tooth sprocket. Hopefully this will give us a good top speed and make it to where we can actually utilize first and second gear without them being too slow. So now we obviously have to modify this to get it to fit on this 1-inch axle. I'm probably just going to bore this out and weld this onto a 1-inch hub, which I've done a million times and it's not that hard to do. Now once I do that, then we can line it up with the sprocket on the electric motor, put the chain on, and then we can put the tires on and then tighten everything up. Well, that didn't last long. Let's try a new one. Now, next we need to put some type of chain slide on the top as well as the bottom. Yeah, because if I left it like that, not only is it going to be insanely loud, it's just going to destroy the swing arm right here. Alright, that works perfectly. Now, next thing is let's work on installing the brake caliper for the rear. Now, I just cut out this piece of plate. This is going to be bolted right here using the same bolts that bolt the pillow block bearing in place. So therefore, as the axle slides back and forward to tension the chain, so will the brake caliper be able to slide back and forward with it. So once we get this installed, then we can tighten everything down, put all the axle locking collars on, then we can put the rear tires on. Well, no wonder I can't get the shock in place on the top. I thought the chain was tightening up, so I kept loosening it. But no, the chain is pinching between the frame and the trailing arm right here. So, yeah, that's not good. So you can see this piece of tubing right here, I welded it too high in place, and you can see the chain getting pinched between the swing arm right here and this piece of tubing. That's definitely not good. So I guess the only way to fix it is we have to cut a good channel out of this piece of tubing to allow the chain to go through, which is not the end of the world, but yeah, just kind of unfortunate. So, I think this looks awesome. Now, it's a tad long, I will admit. I kind of wish I shortened up the swing arm a little bit more, but, I mean, is it the end of the world that it's a little bit long? I mean, it may affect its turning radius, but, I don't know. I really like the look of it. Now, the suspension, let's test it. Ooh. Yeah, it's almost perfect. The front suspension is a tad on the soft side. Remember, we are going to have to put a pretty heavy battery back here, so it's going to add a lot more weight back here. And right now the rear shock is on the softest setting, so I can stiffen that up a little bit more if I want to, but yeah. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Now, I definitely want to add some type of Nerf bars. Definitely need to add some place to be able to put my feet. And I want to add some type of guards to make it to where I can't put my foot down as I'm riding this. I'm curious how easy it would be to tip this thing over. I'm sure this thing would be really easy to flip over. I mean, yeah, that's just gonna have to be something I gotta be careful about when I'm, riding this. Now, anyway, let's start working on adding some type of Nerf bars. So, what do you guys think of the, what do you call them again? Nerf bars. Nerf bars. So, what do you guys think of the Nerf bars? Honestly, I kind of think it looked a little bit better before the Nerf bars and everything. Obviously, they're not done. We need to add a spot to put my feet, as well as add... I'm not sure if I'm going to do a net, like normal Nerf bars, or I may just do something like expanded metal or something, but I kind of liked it before the Nerf bars. I think it looked better, but I do think it's going to be a little bit more safe with the Nerf bars installed. Now, let me ask you guys something, because lately I've been seeing some comments from you guys saying that you guys are kind of getting a little tired of watching me just build the same thing over and over and over again. And one thing I'm kind of curious about is, what do you guys mean exactly by the same thing over and over? Do you guys mean that I just keep building off-road vehicles? Or is it because they're mostly chain drive, motorcycle engine powered, or snowmobile engine powered off-road vehicles? Because I try to build projects that you guys are interested in, because if you guys aren't interested in it, then no one's going to want to watch it. If no one's watching it, then it's not financially viable. So, yeah, if you guys are getting a little tired of, you know, what I'm working on, let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see me build next. I know this project may not be a good example because it is yet another off-road chain drive vehicle. It is electric, but I've done electric vehicles in the past. So, I don't know. With this project, I really wanted to build something for Mini Mayhem. I've never built a three-wheeler, aside from the reverse trike, but that's not really a three-wheeler. So I kind of figured, you know, why don't I build this project? But is this different enough to what you guys are talking about? Or is it yet another off-road vehicle that's chain drive? Again, comment below what you guys want to see me build. What is a project you'd like to see me build in the future? So... anyway, with this project, I think I'm going to put it to the side for a little bit. Mini Mayhem's not for another couple of months, I think. So I have plenty of time to finish this. I just wanted to work on something. I haven't started a new project in a long time, and I kind of wanted to start a new project. So I'm going to put this to the side for a little bit and start working on the H2 powered crosscart again. I've been seeing some comments from you guys saying, when am I getting back to that project? So I'm going to get back to work on that for a little bit, and then when we continue with this project, we need to finish the Nerf bars, we need to add some type of fenders, we need to figure out how we're installing the battery, and then we can start hooking up everything and getting this to work. But anyway, I guess that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.